You're going to put a lot of pressure on Eala, and that's the biggest challenge of the tour.
Dangerous player.
Really tough start, so I'd like to play another final against her.
Alexandra Eala had just beaten the defending Wimbledon champion, and before she could even fully process what had happened, Billie Jean King was standing there waiting to greet her. That is the kind of scene that makes you stop scrolling. It is exactly what played out after Eala's stunning 7-6, 6-2 win over Iga Swiatek in the third round at the All England Club. Clips from the grounds show King present the moment Eala came off that emotional high, the two of them sharing something that has been circulating everywhere since it happened. This was not some staged photo op cooked up for clicks. This actually happened in real time on the grounds of the most famous tennis tournament in the world. And it says everything about where Alexandra Eala stands in this sport right now. Let us set the scene properly, because the match itself deserves the context before we even get to what happened afterward. Eala walked into center court as the 29th seed, facing a 6-time Grand Slam champion who was defending her Wimbledon crown from the year before. On paper, this was supposed to be a routine step for the champion. 2 hours and 14 minutes later, Eala walked off having dethroned her. She won a brutal first-set tiebreak, one of those tiebreaks that seems to change direction every few points, and then closed the whole thing out cleanly in the second set. When it was over, she fell to her knees in tears. She could barely get a sentence out afterward without breaking down again. And by the accounts and footage coming out of the grounds that day, Billie Jean King was already waiting to spend that exact moment with her. Think about who we are talking about here. King is one of the most important figures the sport of tennis has ever produced. A woman who changed the entire trajectory of women's sports, who fought battles on and off the court that most athletes competing today will never have to fight, because she already fought them decades ago and won. King confirmed the meeting herself in a public post, saying it was a treat to spend time with Eala fresh off her historic win, and calling her an inspiration for kids in the Philippines and around the world. For Billie Jean King to seek out a 21-year-old in that moment, to make a point of greeting her right after the biggest win of her career and then publicly celebrate what she did, that is not a small gesture. That is not something legends do for just anyone. That is a legend recognizing a legacy in motion, choosing to be present for it rather than commenting on it from a distance later. King herself talked about it afterward too, saying that center court is just an iconic place to play, that Eala is a great kid, and that she hopes things go well for her going forward. She mentioned that Eala has got to get herself calmed down, and joked that there have already been over 400 calls coming in for sponsorships since the win. 400. Think about how fast that number tells you everything about the scale of what just happened. Eala's own reaction to all of it tells you exactly what this meant to her. Anyone who watched her walk off center court, tears streaming, barely able to speak, saw a 21-year-old who was still trying to process the fact that her name now sits next to the biggest ones in the sport. And then to look up in the middle of that and see Billie Jean King there, genuinely happy, waiting specifically for her, that clearly hit different. She talked about growing up in the Philippines, about how this achievement might look small compared to what someone like Serena Williams or Venus Williams has accomplished in their careers, and then she could not even finish that thought before the emotion took over completely again. That is not manufactured. That is not a rehearsed soundbite. That is a young athlete realizing in real time, in front of cameras, what she just pulled off, and having one of the greatest to ever play the sport standing right there to share it with her. Billie Jean King was not the only legend paying close attention that day either. Martina Navratilova was also on the grounds, and by several accounts, she was watching closely as Eala delivered her on-court speech, visibly proud of what the young Filipina had just accomplished. This was not the first time Navratilova had noticed her. When names like that start converging on one 21-year-old at the same time, that is not background noise. That is the tennis world quietly agreeing on something important. Eala herself has also been vocal about the platform this has given her, and about wanting the people running the sport to actually pay attention to where that support is coming from. She has pointed out that organizers need to keep in mind where players are from and what their actual fan base looks like, noting as an example the massive Filipino audience that shows up wherever she plays, even in places like Melbourne, Australia. Her point was simple. If a player can pull that kind of crowd from all over the world, that should factor into how tournaments think about scheduling. Now here is where the story gets even more interesting, because Eala does not get to sit with this moment for long. Waiting for her in the 4th round is Jasmine Paolini, the 13th seed and a Wimbledon finalist from 2 years ago. Paolini has already made her respect for Eala very clear heading into this matchup. Speaking after her own win over Maria Sakkari, Paolini said she thinks Eala's game suits grass extremely well, that she showed a great level during the grass swing this season, and flatly called her a very dangerous player. She acknowledged just how much support Eala has been drawing at this tournament, saying it is great for the sport that a player can pull that kind of crowd from all over the world, and she admitted she expects a tough battle with the crowd firmly behind Eala the entire way through. The two have actually met once before, back in February at the Dubai Championships, where Eala won in straight sets on a hard court. This upcoming meeting will be their first time playing each other on grass, in the 2nd week of a Grand Slam, with a quarter-final spot on the line. Paolini talked about it herself, saying she knew she was going to play Eala, that she had watched a little bit of her previous match, and that she thinks Eala's game fits very well on grass. She mentioned that Eala showed a great level in Berlin as well, calling her a very dangerous player here, and adding that she already played her in Dubai this year and expects the next meeting to be a tough one too. Now zoom out, because the bigger picture here is even more remarkable than any single match result. This is a player who did not grow up on grass courts at all. She has talked openly about learning the game on a court painted over a basketball court back home in the Philippines. There were no grass courts anywhere near where she trained as a kid. And yet fast forward to right now, and she has become the first Filipino in the entire Open era, male or female, to reach the 2nd week of a Grand Slam tournament. Look at how she actually got there this year. She opened this Wimbledon with a clean win over Renata Zarazua. She then fought back from a set down against Maya Joint, avenging a painful loss from last year's Eastbourne final in the process. And then she delivered what is already the signature win of her career against Swiatek. Her record against Swiatek now sits at 2 wins to 1 in her favor, and that victory marked her 7th career win over a top 10 opponent. 7 wins over top 10 players at 21 years old, for a player who only recently became a full-time fixture on tour. What makes all of this land even harder is the emotional weight Eala keeps putting on it herself, in her own words, whenever she talks about it. She has said she holds Wimbledon very close to her heart, that playing on center court in back-to-back years has given her some of the most intense moments of her entire life. She has also spoken directly about the responsibility she feels toward young girls watching her back home, saying it would be the honor of her life to inspire others. But she was careful to add something that says a lot about who she is as a person, not just as a competitor. She said she wants the next generation to become the first version of themselves, rather than trying to become the next Alexandra Eala. That is who is walking into this 4th round match against Jasmine Paolini. Not just a rising player who caught fire for one tournament. Someone Billie Jean King sought out personally, in person, right after the biggest win of her career. Someone Martina Navratilova has watched with genuine pride and studied closely enough to break down her exact strengths and weaknesses for the entire tour to see. And someone her next opponent is already publicly calling dangerous, before a single ball has even been struck between them on grass. Alexandra Eala has arrived, and at this point, the entire sport seems to know it. So now the only question left is what happens when she and Paolini actually step onto that court together. Does Paolini's experience as a former finalist here give her the answers she needs this time, after already losing to Eala once this year? Or does Eala keep riding this wave, in front of a crowd that will be firmly behind her, all the way into a maiden Grand Slam quarterfinal? Let me know what you think happens down in the comments. And if this story means as much to you as it clearly means to everyone inside that stadium, do me a favor and like this video, and subscribe so you do not miss what happens next in this incredible run.